What is that? That is the least aesthetically pleasing thing I have ever seen in my life. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about these two words that sound very similar. Ascetic, aesthetic. Ascetic, aesthetic. Ascetic, aesthetic. Can you say that? Aesthetic. A lot of people have a hard time making these two sounds back to back. Even some native English speakers have a hard time saying that. Guys, I've made a video in the past about this word, sixths. 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 It's a hard word to say. Anyway, let's talk about what these words mean. Ascetic and aesthetic. Let's start with the second word, aesthetic. What did I say about this picture? I said this thing here, this big blue ring, is the least aesthetically pleasing thing I have ever seen in my life. What does that mean? Well, I've talked about this in some of my previous videos a few years ago. In Calgary, okay, this is in Calgary. In Calgary, near the airport, there's a giant blue ring just on the side of the road for no reason. And it's a lamp post. Okay, so it's a big blue ring, just randomly, nothing else. It's alone. It's just standing there alone, and it's a lamp post. Do you know how much the city paid to build this thing? The city of Calgary spent almost $500,000 to build this. $500,000. That's like more than that's more than a house. Can you imagine that? $500,000 for something that's just it's ugly. It's not aesthetically pleasing. Okay, aesthetic. What do I mean? Why am I using the word aesthetic here? Well, aesthetic means physically attractive. Okay? Not people. We're not talking about attractive people, beautiful women or handsome men. We're not talking about that. We're talking about things like, we're talking about basically good appearance of art, architecture, products, that kind of stuff, right? Aesthetics. Basically, it's a set of principles about beauty or art. Okay, so if we talk about a certain aesthetic, we're talking about kind of a certain look, a certain kind of a set of principles about beauty or art. You know, sometimes, guys, if you look at buildings, okay, maybe kind of the building all has a certain aesthetic. That means everything in the building kind of follows the same set of principles about beauty. Or maybe there's an architecture, not an architect, and you look at some piece of architecture, okay, maybe a building or some big piece of art or something like that, right? So sometimes an architect or an artist, they kind of all their art or all their architecture kind of has a certain look to it, right? It's kind of got a certain aesthetic. So that means that that person, that artist or that architect, is kind of, you can see what they believe about beauty in the things that they design, because they're always kind of, they're everything they design follows a certain look, right? It kind of follows a certain set of principles. So that's what we mean when we're talking about aesthetics. Okay, the kind of the field, this concept is called aesthetics. Aesthetics. Are you interested in aesthetics? Maybe your job, involves aesthetics. Maybe you work in aesthetics. You make products look better, or maybe packaging of the products. Because, if you buy like an iPhone, for example, the iPhone is beautiful, but also the packaging, right? The box kind of looks nice. It's, so you could say, wow, this is an aesthetically pleasing box. And maybe you designed that box, or maybe you designed the product. Okay, so that's what we're talking about with aesthetics, okay? Look at this. Wow, look at this restaurant, guys. I love the aesthetics in this restaurant. This restaurant has a cool aesthetic. Okay, this restaurant is aesthetically pleasing to me. Look at it's got these kind of cool lights. Kind of, I don't know, just the colors and the lights, and it's aesthetically pleasing. Okay, pleasing means it looks good. Aesthetically pleasing means it looks good to your eye. All right. How about you? Do you think this restaurant has nice aesthetics? Yeah, you could say, yes, it has nice aesthetics, or it has a nice aesthetic, or it's aesthetically pleasing. It's beautiful. Wow. Remember, we're not talking about the people. We're talking about the colors. We're talking about kind of the way it looks, the appearance of it. Okay, so yeah, you could say this restaurant has a nice aesthetic, or you could make it plural. You could take out the word you could say this restaurant has nice aesthetics and put the S there. Okay, or you could say this restaurant is aesthetically pleasing. Okay, it kind of makes your eyes happy. It makes you happy if it's aesthetically pleasing. Wow, that's beautiful. It's a nice restaurant. I would love to eat at an aesthetically pleasing restaurant. How about you? Okay, so the word aesthetic, it could be a noun. Okay, if we talk about a modern aesthetic, okay, right? We're talking about kind of the set of principles that, like, what kind of look does it have? Well, it's a modern aesthetic. Okay, so a building could have a modern aesthetic. So that would be a noun. It could also be an adverb with ly, aesthetically pleasing. Okay, very often words with ly are adverbs. Okay, it's it's a pleasing building. So pleasing is an adjective. So very often adverbs, they modify adjectives. So, it's what kind of restaurant is it? It's a pleasing restaurant. But how is it pleasing? It's aesthetically pleasing. Okay, so adverbs answer the question how. Adjectives answer the question what kind, right? Or how many, or, those kind of ones. You can search on Google for adjectives versus adverbs. You get a list of all the different, ways to identify an adjective or an adverb. So this word can also be an adjective. Like you could say aesthetics. I messed up, guys. Now I have both those words in my head. Ascetic and aesthetic. Both the words have completely different meanings. We're going to talk about the second word in a few minutes. So hold your horses. Hold your horses means it means just wait, be patient. Okay, don't get ahead of yourself here. Just wait we are going to talk about the word ascetic. But right now we're talking about the word aesthetic. So aesthetic can be an adjective. We could talk about, for example, aesthetic improvements. Like, if you want to, I don't know, if you buy a restaurant and it's a little bit run down means it's a little bit damaged. It looks a little bit dirty. It looks a bit old. You want a nice restaurant, right? So you probably want to make aesthetic. I said it again, aesthetic. You probably want to make aesthetic improvements to the restaurant. Right? Maybe paint the walls kind of a cool color and add some lights and, make it a bit more pleasing to the eye. So let's look at some examples with this word. I like the product, but the packaging wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. Okay, so if you buy a product, you might like the product, but the packaging was just, it was pretty bland. Bland means it wasn't very exciting. There was nothing special about it. So, yeah, the packaging wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, the packaging didn't look very good. Okay. Our city needs some aesthetic improvements. Yeah, our city, maybe does need some aesthetic improvements. That's probably, I don't know, in Calgary, I don't know who chose to put the blue ring there. I guess it must have been approved by some committee, city, council or something like that. They probably were trying to do this. They probably said, okay, we've got some money here. We need to spend $500,000 on something to make the city look nice. Let's put a big blue ring on the side of the road as a lamppost. That will improve the aesthetics of our city. That will give our city aesthetic improvement. Okay? Well, it wasn't a great idea, let's be honest. Those city councilors, they should be fired. What do you think? Is it a good use of money to put a giant blue ring just in the middle of nowhere? It's just on the side of a road. I don't know, if you go to Calgary, just go and visit it. I can't remember which road it's on, Airport Trail, I think, or maybe 90 something Avenue. It's just randomly there. It doesn't match with anything else in the city. It's by itself, randomly. What's it doing there? What? Wow. I mean, if you go to Calgary, go visit it. I don't think you can even stop beside it. There's no place to park. It's just there. It's on the side of like a kind of a road. There's no parking. I don't think there's any parking near there, so you can't properly stop and look at it. I don't know. But anyway, this video is about teaching you English, not about evaluating art work or cities, their architectural disasters, right? Do you like the aesthetics of the iPhone Air? Okay. If I ask you this question, do you like the aesthetics? I mean, I'm asking, do you like the look of the new iPhone Air? Now, I'm making this video in July 2025, but, the rumors, there are always rumors before the next iPhone comes out. So the next iPhone, which is expected to drop in September, iPhones usually come out in September. Drop means arrive. Okay, so the next iPhone it's probably going to arrive in September, and it's going to be the iPhone 17. So there might be the iPhone 17 Pro, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, the iPhone 17 Air. Maybe this is a rumor. Okay, let's see if this turns out to be true. It's this is what one site was rendering it as. Does this look aesthetically pleasing? I mean, you know Apple's lineup of products. If a product has the word Air, that means it's really thin, right? So Apple has the iPad Air. That's a really thin iPad. They've got their MacBook Air, really thin MacBook. Well, the iPhone Air is going to be a extremely thin iPhone. Do you think it's going to be aesthetically pleasing? I think probably. It's going to look great. Probably sell like hotcakes. If something sells like hotcakes, that means it sells a lot. So I imagine, I actually have the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So I'm not planning to buy a new iPhone for many years now. But if I was in the market, I would probably consider the iPhone Air. If you're in the market, it means you're shopping for something. You're looking around for something. Okay, so you could be in the market for a new car. That means you're looking around to buy a new car. You could be in the market for a new phone. You could be in the market for a house. You could be in the market for anything. Okay. Even sometimes people use that for dating. Now I'm back on the market. Right? If you're single, you're on the market. Are you on the market, guys? Are you on the market? I guess I'm on the market. Are you single? I'm single, guys. If you're single, you could say I'm on the market. Or if you were dating and now you're single, you say I'm back on the market. I'm back on the market. And that means you're looking around. You're looking around for a soulmate. Have you found your soulmate, guys? I hope you found a nice soulmate. So if I were in the market, or I could say if I was in the market, both are common. If I were in the market, if I was in the market, I would probably consider an iPhone Air. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think it's going to be extremely aesthetically pleasing. Okay? I think it's going to be extremely aesthetically pleasing. You know, most Apple products are very aesthetically pleasing. Right? I would say that's one of the main reasons people buy Apple products. They look nice. They just look better. They look more premium than their competitors. I don't know why. I like the look of Samsung phones and other phones as well, but there's something about Apple. Apple phones are just and Apple computers and stuff like that. I think they look very nice. They look very pleasing, and I think that's one of the reasons people buy Apple products. They've got kind of a nice aesthetic. They have a nice aesthetic. Just they look pleasing, right? Okay, so we just finished talking about this word, aesthetic. Aesthetic. Now we're going to talk about this word, ascetic. Okay? This word is completely unrelated. It's a totally different word. Okay, what is an ascetic? Ascetic is a person who practices extreme self-denial for religious reasons. Okay? A person who practices extreme self-denial for religious reasons. So that person is called an ascetic. Ascetic. And the idea is asceticism. Asceticism. Do you think asceticism is good or bad? You know, would you encourage people to practice asceticism? Here's an example. Saint Francis of Assisi lived an ascetic life. Okay, so this is an adjective here. Ascetic life. What kind of life did he live? Did he live a luxurious life? No, he lived an ascetic life. So this is an adjective. It answers the question, what kind? What kind of life did he live? He lived an ascetic life. But if we say St. Francis of Assisi was an ascetic, then it would be a noun, because we're saying he is this. That means he is an ascetic. Okay, does that make sense? So this word could be a noun or it could be an adjective. Now this guy, St. Francis of Assisi, he was a guy that lived about 800 years ago, give or take. Yeah, if I say give or take, that means approximately. You can add it at the end of a sentence or before. I could say he lived, give or take, 800 years ago. Or he lived about 800 years ago, give or take. So he practiced asceticism. Remember, the concept is asceticism, which is also a noun. So what would that involve? What kind of a lifestyle is an ascetic lifestyle? What do they do? What do the people do? Well, probably poverty, fasting, maybe wearing sackcloth. Okay, like people who are ascetics. Or if you are an ascetic, that means you've given up money, right? You're not trying for money. You've probably given all your money away. You've given all your possessions to the poor. Probably you're living a life of poverty. Probably fasting. Okay, so fasting means no food or very little food. You might just eat bread and water. You might eat 3 days a week. You might fast most of the days of your life. That's probably a pretty key component of asceticism. Maybe your clothes. Maybe you give all your nice clothes to the poor, and you just wear sackcloth. I think this was quite common back in the olden days for ascetics to wear sackcloth. I don't know, sackcloth is the material that's made from a sack. Can you imagine like a sack of rice? All right, it's kind of got that rough fibers, and so it's not comfortable. It's not like my sweater that I'm wearing right now. Super soft, guys. Very nice. But, sackcloth is itchy. Yeah, whoops. Guys, I bumped my, my elbow bumped my, yeah. So, have you ever worn sackcloth? Sackcloth is super itchy, You can't get comfortable wearing sackcloth. So, guys, are you an ascetic? Let me know down in the comments. Are you an ascetic? You could say, yes, I'm an ascetic who prefers a minimalist aesthetic. Okay. Yes, I'm an ascetic who prefers a minimalist aesthetic. Can you say this sentence? I'm an ascetic who prefers a minimalist aesthetic. What does minimalist mean? Minimalist means this. Okay, look at this. Look at this apartment or this condo. This is a very minimalist condo, right? It's just got really simple. It doesn't have a lot of stuff in here. It's just minimal. It's got the basic things you need. It's got some stools. These are called bar stools. It's got some chairs. It's got a table. It's got a couch. It's got a TV. It's got that's it. It doesn't have a lot of artwork on the walls. Maybe not a lot of plants. A lot of stuff. It's just super minimalist. Okay, that's what it means. Minimum. Think about the word minimum. Just the basic things that you need. Minimalist. Usually people think about the word minimalist as meaning clean, simple, no extra stuff, useless stuff. Guys, if I were to stay in a place, I would want to stay in a minimalist place, like a hotel, for example. A hotel could be minimalist. I would rather stay in a minimalist hotel. You know what I never do in a hotel? I never use the coffee maker. I never, I don't trust hotel things. I don't want anything to do with food, I don't even want a fridge in my hotel room. I don't even want a TV. Just give me a very clean, minimalist experience and drop the price. Right? I don't want to pay for stuff that I'm not even going to use. I don't need the fridge. I don't need the coffee maker. I don't need all the bells and whistles in the hotel room. Bells and whistles means features, extra features and stuff like that. I don't need that. I just want a minimalist apartment or a minimalist hotel room or something, right? So minimalist. How about you? Do you like the minimalist aesthetic? So we could describe this style of beauty, or this remember, it's kind of a set of rules, a set of principles regarding the appearance of something. So whoever designed this apartment, they believed that less is more. Okay, sometimes in English we say that, right? Less is more. I think most of the time that's true. Less is more. How about you? Do you believe that? Yeah, like if I'm staying in a hotel room, yeah, less is more. I'd rather choose a minimalist apartment or a minimalist hotel room than a lot of stuff. I like minimalist. I like minimalism. How about you? Do you like a minimalist aesthetic? So the person who designed this, they believed, right? They designed this with a minimalist aesthetic. Guys, it's the end of my show. Forgot I had a homework slide. Sorry guys, let's do some homework. Just imagine my homework screen here. Make a sentence with the word ascetic and aesthetic. Do you guys like this screensaver, this background? That kind of looks, that's aesthetically pleasing. That is an aesthetically pleasing view. I like that. So guys, make a sentence down there in the comments with the word ascetic and aesthetic. What kind of aesthetic would you want in a hotel room or a condo or something like that? Yeah. And are you an ascetic? Maybe you live in these trees here and you just live away from people. Maybe you just pray all day. You don't eat anything. Maybe you eat a little bit of maybe you find some mushrooms in the forest and you eat mushrooms, and you drink some water from a river nearby, and you live a super simple life. You've given up all riches, all comfort, convenience, and you are an ascetic living here in the trees. Let me know if that's you guys. Well, anyway, guys, as always, I love you very much. Hope you're doing great today. Hope you're staying safe, healthy, and happy, no matter if you are an ascetic or not. I love you. And as always, guys, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.